Welcome to Sawyering with Stifler. Oh, no. Hang on a second. I better cut that out of there. He may never let me use this thing again. Welcome to Amberg Acres. So we're going to be running our first logs through the wood mill that Jacob bought. And we got it over here at our place now today. And we cut up a couple. Monday I cut up a couple. Made some 6x6s. Let's look at those ones. So I cut up a bunch of 6x6s here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a skid. Actually, I'm going to make a couple of skid. I got some more there. I'm going to make a couple of skids. And then we're going to stack the wood on there, and then I can move it with the tractor wherever I want. And put something over the top of it to let it dry for a while. So one of the things I notice when I watch these other videos that these guys sawing, they seem to just throw everything on the ground. So I'm trying to set this up a little better. Number one, I'm going to have the skids. Number two, I got the logging trailer over there. I'm putting all the slabs in there right away, and then I'll cut them to 16 inches and stack them on my pile. I have the four-wheeler over here, putting the sawdust in the back of it. That's going to get spread on the field and get worked into the ground back there. It's kind of like composting your field. We're going to see if that helps enriching the soil over there or not. I know it's going to be acidic because they're pines, but we put down plenty of lime every year, so I think it'll be fine once it works itself into the soil and starts composing. So this is our setup. We got a big jug here for the sawdust. We put a bucket on the end there to catch the sawdust so it's not going all over the ground, which it still is a little bit. It blows around. We added a toolbox to the back here. We got all our tools in there, and when you move it from place to place, you got to take the bars out and put the bars in there and whatever. So we got her all ready to go, okay? So I need a few more 6x6s. Let me get my level. So what I want for all these logs we have laying here that I'm going to cut up, we're going to be cutting planks. 2x8s are going to be for the rafters for the lean-to. 2x6s are going to be for the walls inside the shop, and then slabs. So I need right off the bat, I need at least 3 skids. Okay, so I got enough 4x4s cut for 2, so I got to get a few more 4x4s or 6x6s. I'm sorry. So this piece is perfect for a 6x6. I'll get my 6x6 out of there, and I'll just have a couple of slabs left over. The logs, what I'm finding real quick here is, even though I think the logs are straight, they're not that straight, you know? So the first thing you want to do is you want to center the pitch. That's helping immensely getting that pitch, or the pith centered. Now, if one of the first logs I put up here, the pith was way off center. It was must have been a limb or something that I cut off of a bigger tree, and you can't really work with that at that point. So we just cut it, and for a skid it's fine. You wouldn't want to cut a piece like that for a customer and have the pith right in the middle of one of his boards. Now, that's one of my irritations that I have when I go buy lumber. Say I'll just throw out Menards, Home Depot, or the two around this area. You go to buy this lumber, and let me go get you a piece. I want to try and find a piece to show you what I'm talking about. So here's a perfect example. There's your pith right there. This board that I got at Menards was cut right out of the center of a log. And if you look at the size of these probably aren't very big logs that they're cutting these out of. These are very small logs. And if you watch the trucks going down the highway, and we get 10, 15 trucks going by our place here every day. When you see those trucks going by, the logs on there are only, yay big. They're not the big giant logs anymore. They're not cutting the old growth anymore. They're just cutting the smaller diameter trees. And I got that information firsthand when I was out in Oregon. One of the people we visited out there, he used to be a trucker hauling logs out in Oregon, and he's the one that filled me in on that they don't use the old growth anymore. Nobody wants the old growth. They're all using the new growth. So here's the next one you see. Okay, there's the pith right there, and they cut that into a board. Okay, now I get these all the time. I see these all the time at Menards and Home Depot, and a lot of them have it cut where the thing, you can see a big stripe down the middle of the board. Do not buy those boards. You put them on your deck over there, and in a year or two, that's going to be all pitch coming out of that line that's there. Okay, I've run into that several times building decks. So this is one of the things that irritates me. So what I've been doing is I'm trying to get my 6x6 out of the middle of this log, okay, so that the pith is right in the middle of that 6x6. And then if I can get a couple of boards above it, a couple of boards below it on the sides, great. You know, that's what we're after. So every log I cut, I'm gonna at least try and get a 6x6 out of the center of it, or a 4x4. Depends what I'm trying to cut. But this to me is a pet peeve when I go to buy wood. For the money you're paying for the wood, that they have all this stuff cut right out of the middle of the log like that. And it also will cup, you know, will cup and warp better, easier when it's cut like this, because it's not cut out of the good part of the log. And I get it, you know, they're trying to use every piece of the wood, of every piece of the log. The bigger slabs that come off the top, off the outer edge, are probably like their grade A lumber, you know, or whatever, however they rate it, you know. So I get it, you know, but I don't like this. If you see this stuff on your boards, you know, don't buy those boards. Pick through the pile and get some better looking wood, because these can be an issue down the road for you. So we're gonna center this pith on here, and I'm gonna show you how we cut this log. Now those boards I just showed you, they were used on rat boards in the pole barn here, and so I'm not real worried about that, the way they're cut. I mean, literally you have to pick through the whole pile to find some good boards once in a while when you're there. And then other times I go there and I find some really nice stuff. So I don't know, you know, I don't know what to say about it, you know. But anyhow, we're at about 7 1/4 on that end. And we're at about 8 1/4 on the other end. So we're going to jack this up a little bit. So I am out at about 7 3/4. I'll go check the other end, because as you lift the log, the other end is going down, you know, depending on how this log is rocking on here. So I'm at about 8 now on that end. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll get her clamped in here, and we'll get her going. So one of the other things I've run into on them first couple of logs are these knobs. When you're cutting down your tree and you're taking your branches off, you want to cut that as close to the log as possible. I hit several of them the other day, and this one obviously looks like I'm going to be close here too on a couple of them. So you want to get that done before you get it up on the sawmill, is what I'm saying. I'm actually pretty impressed with those clamps, how they clamp. When I first seen them, I'm like, wow, how is that gonna work? It barely cams, you know, but it holds these logs pretty good. And the bigger ones, you know, are heavy as heck, so it's not that big of an issue. But when you get the smaller ones, it holds that log pretty good. Definitely not a one-pull machine, that's for sure. I put a battery in there, one of my old lawnmower batteries, and they don't have enough juice to turn it over. So I gotta do a different battery for it. So the way I've been doing this, and this is just because all I'm trying to get out of it is a 6x6. I find my center, I just measure up 3 inches, and then I make a mark here on this side. And then I can start there, and I can go up, you know, 2. If I can get a slab out of it, and you know, if it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out, right? So that's how I've been laying these boards out. Okay, so now I am back to my 3-inch mark, and we're gonna take this slab off of here, throw it on a slab pile, and then we'll be ready to roll the log over. So at the narrowest part, I should easily be able to get a 6-inch square out of there, 6-inch cant. All right, we're gonna flip this guy over. I'm gonna find my tools. I don't know where all my tools went to. One of the other things I'm really impressed with is is how easy this is to push, you know. I was anticipating that we were really gonna have to push hard to get that to cut, you know, and it just, you got one finger, I mean, you can just push it through. It's pretty impressive how easily it works, or how well it works, I should say. So looking at the bark, I believe this was a spruce. Nice log. This one's pretty clean. You see where all this bluing is? Those are bugs. That's what killed the tree. You know, everywhere where there's a bug or a larvae or whatever that is in there, you get that bluing. But that adds uniqueness to the wood. If you're cutting slabs and stuff and you're making a countertop or a bar or something out of them, I mean, that really adds character, I think, to have that stuff, leave that stuff in there. I'm hoping to see, once I get to some of those bigger ones over there that were clean, that didn't look like they were damaged, you know. I want to see what those look like on the inside, see if they got bugs in them too. Because if they got bugs in them, then that pretty much means any white pine we got out here is probably got a bug, you know. So the other thing we learned quickly is that this ain't that easy to do. Flip these logs over with this log turner. These smaller ones aren't so bad. These are pretty easy, but we put up a pretty good sized one the other day, and me and Jacob together had a really struggle to get that log turned over once we milled the first side. So again, I'm just gonna mark my 6 inches now. So I'm gonna measure off the bottom. So that's where I want to end up at. And we'll see how this side comes out now, see if we get a little slab or not. There's a nice little live edge slab. You know, you could make a sign or anything out of that thing, you know, I mean, once it's dry. Yeah. I got all kinds of ideas up here what I can do with this stuff, so. I'm sure Pablo will have a use for these. He likes making stuff out of wood, and he's pretty good at it. I've been making the first couple logs here. I've made some different thicknesses. I've made like 1.25 inch, 1.75 inch slabs, so I have a variety to work with. The 1 inch here, probably it'd be good for signs. You know, if you're making a table or something, this is probably too thin for a table, but that's why I cut some of the thicker ones that would make a nice table top, or a desk for my office when I get my office done. It is a little challenging doing this by yourself, especially with the bigger ones. This one ain't so bad, but you get a much bigger log, standing this up on end here, you almost need 2 people. But we're getting it. I'm gonna try and rig something up for the tractor that we can just you know, like grab it here and pick it up, you know, with the tractor for them bigger ones. And I think I can do that. The issue I'm gonna have is it's probably gonna dig into the wood a little bit, so I gotta work on it a little bit, but I'll come up with something. You know me, I'll figure something out. By the end of this year, I'll have this all dialed in. So now when you flip it up like this, you should check your pith again, because this log has quite a bend to it. So I can guarantee you that end is low down there. So we're gonna double check that and try and get it as centered as we can. At about 7. Yeah, we're off by about 1 inch. So I'll jack that end up a little bit, and we'll get going on this. So that is the other thing I'm gonna fix. I'm using a bottle jack right now, and it works fine, but it's kind of a struggle. I wanna get a scissors jack like you use on your car and mount that underneath there. And then it's always gonna be there. You put the log on, jack it up, hook it up to a drill, whatever, something to make it easier. Jack it up so your dimensions are the same, and you're off and running. This part here always seems like we're spinning our wheels trying to get the log set up. And if we could speed that up, it would at least make it seem like you're going quicker, you know, to get the saw going. The other thing I thought, instead of this level, carrying this level back and forth, if I made some kind of either a bar of steel or even a good board. If I could, you know, get a board dried out, a nice 2-inch thick board, and square it up real good so that I know it's somewhat straight. And then there's all kinds of holes in these channels here. Just make a pin for it, so when you're traveling, you just pin it down and it stays there. And when you get to the next spot, you can just pop the pins out, and you got one on each end then to measure off of. So like I say, I got all these ideas in my head. I just gotta make them work, you know. Got the toolbox mounted today on the back, and that's working out real well. I like that. I like that on there. Now again on this end, now I'm going to measure off of my pith. I'm going to come up my 3 inches, and that's going to give me my start point, and then I'll make my cuts from there. So if you're like me, I watch YouTube all the time, and I probably watched a couple hundred Sawmill videos before I recommended to Jacob what to buy. He had asked me a while back what I thought would be a good purchase, reasonably priced. And that's where we came up with the HM130 from Woodland Mills. But everybody does this differently, okay? I mean, it all depends what you're trying to get out of this log is where you start. So if you're just taking slabs, well then you start at the top and you just take 2-inch slabs all the way down if that's what you're after, you know? So the only reason I'm doing this is because I want this pith centered in the middle of my 6x6s. It's the only reason I'm doing it this way. So what I'm going to do with this side here now is I got 3 inches there to get down to my mark. I'm going to make some 1-inch cuts so I can make some stickers out of them pieces. So now I got three 1-inch planks that I can cut some stickers out of for stacking the lumber. On this side here, if there was that belly in it, I'm barely going to get one slice out of there. So basically that side, you can see all the, I forget what they call that, where the bark is left there. There's a name for that, but I'm not up on the technical names. But it barely cleaned up a 6x6 on this side here. So I could have shifted it a little bit because I had extra on the other side. I could have shifted it. But that's the thing. You know, you got to learn how to read a log basically, and I missed it a little bit, but this will still work for a skid. It'll be fine. So I got, I don't know, 5, 6 maybe, 1-inch slabs. So I'm going to stand them up, and we're going to slice off the stickers now. Okay, so we're just gonna make 1-inch stickers here, 1 inch at a time. Come down and knock them off. So you get the picture, what we're doing here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And stay tuned, because we will be putting up some of them big ones there. And them big ones are a little bit over the capacity of this saw. So as soon as I get, familiarized enough with this saw that I know what I can get away with, those big ones are gonna go on here, and we'll share that with you, and we'll see what kind of lumber we can get out of it. 2x6s, 2x8s, whatever. Most of them aren't long enough for the 2x8s that I need. I need 14 footers for that lean-to. And the reason I didn't cut them to 14 is I can't lift them, and that there again creates a problem. If you can't lift the log, you're limited to what you can make, right? So I got most of them cut at 10 feet, and I can barely move them at 10 feet. You know, I need a lot of 2x6s, and those only need to be 8 feet, really. So I could cut them down a little smaller if I can't lift them up on here. And that's what we're gonna have to do. But that'll be for the next video. So stay tuned, keep watching. There will be more of this stuff coming up.